The fear of the Lord is beginning of the wisdom. And good understanding comes to those who listen. It's time to rise up in the world. It's time to rise up in the world.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. I want to remind you all to visit our website, which is PanamaRelocationOnlineCourses.com. From there, you can click into our community and join for pre-release and exclusive content that you will not see here on YouTube. We have 23 frequently asked questions videos, a lot of information stored there that you will find very useful, recommended tours, as well as discounts on our products and services. It's free. You can scan the QR code that is on your screen or the link in the description down below. You also, from our website, can click into our Panama Relocation Online Course information page to get more information on that and our 50+ detailed videos that are going to help you complete your expat transformation to Panama seamlessly and efficiently while avoiding costly mistakes. So if interested, you can scan the QR code that is on your screen or the link in the description down below. Also, if you need an immigration lawyer, you can book a free consultation with Giovanna Bernal of Prime Solutions Tax and Legal. You can scan the QR code that's on your screen or click the link in the description down below. She can answer all your questions. She has over 16 years of experience as an immigration lawyer in Panama. Let's get into the video of the 15 interesting facts about Panama. So number 15, the number 15 interesting fact about Panama is that they still have a huge majority of full service gas stations. This is one of those things I just love. You know, I love you can pull in a gas station. You don't have to worry about anything. They'll, wipe your windshield. They'll even do the back of the window. Put air in your tires if you want. It's full service. You don't have to give them anything extra for that. But I usually will tip them, a couple of dollars for the service. And it's great. The only time it's not great is when we go back to the U.S. We just recently made a trip. And then we even made a trip in the wintertime, last winter, when I was quickly reminded of not really having access to that service. And I just really forgot all about pumping gas, especially out in the cold, So it's a great service that they still have. As I've said in other videos, in some cases being in Panama is kind of like going back in time. So this is just one of those instances where it's great to be able to go back in time, to have a service like this. Number 14. The number 14 interesting fact about Panama is that it is illegal for men to not wear a shirt in public. Of course, women also. Women are going to need to be covered up. But unless you're at the beach, it's not legal. And this is something that I just found out a few months ago. And I just had to stop and think about it. I said, really, I don't really see, people out shirtless, like back at home. You have a lot of people that'll go out for a jog, or whatever, and, being shirtless, say back in the U.S. at least. I'm not sure about, in Europe and in Canada, some of these other countries. But in the U.S., it's not a thing at all to see everybody out shirtless. But in Panama, it is against the law. So it's just one interesting fact that I wanted to share with you all that I found out. So number 13. The number 13 interesting fact about Panama is that the police don't chase you during a traffic stop. This is so interesting. So most of the time they operate on motorcycles. They do have cars, but most of the time the traffic cops will be on a motorcycle. They're posted up on the side of the road. You have a very difficult time seeing them, with the curves, the hills, the mountains, the brush, because it's not a car, it's a motorcycle. And so oftentimes they will have clocked you long before you see them. So, by the time you're rolling up to them, what they're going to do is they're going to step out into the middle of the highway. They're going to point at you and they're going to tell you, hey, you pull over. And they aren't going to chase you. You're going to pull over. You're going to stop. You're going to back up to where they are. And then, the rest is history. So it's just very interesting how it's done here. I think they're able to really do this because of the speed limit being so much lower than in the States. Normally a speed limit may be maximum, usually around 60 miles an hour. A lot of times you're going to be going slower than that and you'll still be over the speed limit. So you do still have some time to be able to stop. It's not like you back in the States or Canada and you just floating by at like 80, 85 miles an hour, like, and they have to come out and chase you. So that's just not really the way it works here. And I just found it very interesting, especially the first time that it happened to me. Number 12. The number 12 interesting thing about Panama, and this may not be a thing so much in the city, but I think in a lot of other areas outside of the city, is there's nothing for you to see various animals out and about in the street and walking around while you're out driving or walking. I mean, the why the chicken cross the road joke, I mean, that's like every day. Multiple times a day, you see families of chickens cross the road in front of you. You see a duck, you see lizards, might see a snake. You can see like some cows, see horses. It's pretty, it's just pretty interesting. If you're in some, mountainous areas, you may even see an animal called a capybara. If you haven't heard of this thing, it's one of the largest rodents in the world. And if I ever see one, I'm running. Haven't seen one of those yet, but, they do have signs for those in certain areas. And, it'd just be a sight to see if you did see one of those. But they do have capybara crossing signs on some roads. So if you get a chance, Google this thing. I'll show you a picture of it here. But it's a very, very interesting animal, and I don't even want to see one. So number 11, the number 11 interesting fact about Panama is that marriage is defined in their constitution as being between a man and a woman. So it's not like in most countries where it's just a law on the books or something like that. This is actually written in their constitution, because Panama is about 85% Catholic. So it's a very conservative country. And I just found it interesting that this law was actually in their constitution. Number 10. The number 10 interesting fact about Panama, and this is one we recently found out here in the 2023 census, is that 33% of Panamanians identify as Afrodescendants. So this number is up from about 16% in the 2010 census. We showed you in our last video that the government put out a short video to the people to kind of get them to understand what being Afro-descendant is, and that regardless of whether they call themselves any of these other names, Moreno, which is brown, Negro, Afrodescendiente, Afro-Panameño, or whatever, that, they're all black people, and they needed to put that on the census. And so now Panama's population of Afro-descendants is about 33%. That is only exceeded, outside of all black Caribbean nations like Jamaica and etc. You're only really looking at countries like Brazil and maybe Cuba, in the Western world, or anywhere outside of Africa, that exceed that percentage. So it's a very, very interesting fact now that just recently came to light. And it's something that you can see, your eyes tell you when you're walking around. Number 9. The number 9 interesting fact about Panama is that you can swim in 2 oceans in the same day. So you can start your day off in Cologne. You can jump in the Caribbean Sea or the Atlantic Ocean on that side of the country. And then you can drive a short hour and 10 to 15 minutes to the beach on the other side. You can go to Playa Veracruz and jump in the Pacific Ocean, all within about an hour and a half. So not even within the same day, but just within a couple of hours, you can swim in 2 oceans. So that's an interesting fact about Panama. Another interesting fact about Panama, again, this is lending itself to its conservative nature, is that abortion is illegal unless it was via rape or life-threatening to the mother. So that's just another interesting fact that we found recently that we wanted to share with you. Number 7. Number 7 interesting fact about Panama is that it is illegal to back into a parking space in front of a bank. Now, when you think about this, it does make sense. But when it happens to you for the first time, it's just really like, you're like, what the heck is going on? I'm just parking a car, because each one of these banks has 1 or 2 security guards out there in the front. And so I know when I had one of them approach me one time, since I parked the car, I went to jump out of the car, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. But when you think about it, it makes sense. So, if somebody's coming to try to rob the bank, they don't want you to make a quick getaway. So apparently it is illegal to back into a parking space in front of a bank. Number 6. The number 6 interesting fact about Panama is that the Panama Hat was founded in Ecuador. Believe it or not. This hat was made in Ecuador. It did not sell very well. The people who made the hat, they ended up migrating to Panama. They tried to sell it here. It took off. and it just started being called the Panama Hat. It's the world famous Panama Hat. And that's pretty much the story with that. The Panama Hat, what you see and what's known as the Panama Hat, was founded in Ecuador. So that's another interesting fact. Number 5. The number 5 interesting fact about Panama is that you can buy a live chicken right in front of your house. Now again, you know, if you're in a city, probably can't do this one. But in most other areas outside of the city, you can do this. Like, you know, in our neighborhood, there's guys that drive around. They make these announcements, you know, over a megaphone. You can't understand what they're saying. They're like, no, 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 no. No, I'll let you check it out. So even though these particular guys weren't selling chickens, you know, sometimes they'll come around collecting scrap metal. They may come around selling vegetables or whatever. But sometimes you may see a truck, maybe it has a chicken coop on top of it, and they'll go around and make that announcement or whatever, and you can come out of your house and buy a live chicken. So just another interesting fact we decided to put in here about Panama. So the number 4 interesting thing about Panama is that the Panama Canal was almost built in Nicaragua. Can you believe that? So what happened is that, you know, Nicaragua was really the favorite to get the canal. And the U.S. Senate, you know, was voting on this. In Panama, there was a legislator who, of course, you know, wanted to sway them toward doing this in Panama. So he wrote all of the U.S. legislators a letter, and he included a stamp on the letter, and I'll show you the stamp here. Basically, it's got like a volcano on it. It's a stamp, a Nicaraguan stamp that has a volcano on it, reminding all of them how many more volcanoes that Nicaragua has than Panama, because of course Panama has no active volcanoes. Nicaragua has several. And so of course this was able to sway the people to change their minds. So they're like, hey, why should we build this canal in an area with all of these active volcanoes, you know? And even on top of that, it makes more sense to have built it in Panama anyway. Panama is an isthmus. It's a narrow strip of land. You know, it's about 38 miles wide at its shortest point. So it was going to be a much easier task to get this done in Panama versus trying to do it in Nicaragua anyway. So they definitely made the right decision regardless. The number 3 interesting fact about Panama is that you can see 2 oceans at the same time. So if you're standing on top of Vocumbaru, which is near Boquete in Cherokee Province, you can look to one side and see the Caribbean Sea or the Atlantic Ocean on a clear day, and you can turn right around and look at the Pacific Ocean from the top of Vocumbaru, which is about 11,300 feet in altitude. So that's a very, very interesting thing about Panama. Number 2. The number 2 interesting thing about Panama is its national bird, which is the harpy eagle. Not that the harpy eagle is its national bird, but what's interesting is that this bird is huge. It's huge, y'all. Look at these pictures. I mean, if I ever see one of these things, I'm running. Like, I haven't seen one yet, but I already told my wife, if you see it, hey, we out. You know, don't even think about it. We got to get out of here because I just cannot imagine seeing a bird this huge in person. You know, I know you have like things like an ostrich with the big fat body or whatever, but no, this thing looked like an actual bird and it could fly and all of that. And it's huge. So I just found it very interesting when I found that out. I know that eagles can be some big birds by, you know, the U.S. national bird being the bald eagle, you know, which is a good, you know, it's a good sized bird, but this thing is just unbelievable. And I pray that I never see one. So the number 1 interesting fact about Panama is that you can see the sun rise over the Pacific Ocean and set over the Atlantic Ocean. And this is the only place in the world where you can do this. And it's because of Panama's unique geography, by it being in the shape of an S. It's a shallow S that's laid on its side. So on one side you have, you know, the Bay of Panama on the Pacific Ocean side, and then to the north you have the Caribbean Sea or the Atlantic Ocean. And so because of the direction the sun comes in at, and because Panama has this curved shape, it is possible for you to see the sunrise over the Pacific Ocean and set over the Atlantic Ocean, which again, you cannot see anywhere else on Earth. And so we have a couple of bonus interesting facts for you. So one interesting bonus fact, which probably should have actually been on the list, is Panama's allowable blood alcohol level. Guess what it is? 0.00 is Panama's allowable blood alcohol level. So you just have to be very careful. If you go out to eat or you go out with your friends, you have a couple of drinks, you want to pump the brakes. Just be very careful. Make sure you have a designated driver, all of the same things you would follow if you were in the States, but you really want to make sure of it here because there are very, very stiff fines and penalties if you are caught in Panama drunk driving. And so the other bonus fact that we have for you here is that McDonald's still has old school apple pies. Can you believe that? The old fried apple pies, they are delicious. I mean, you get that crunchy exterior with the little bubbles on it. I mean, it's unbelievable. And like I told you all earlier, some things about being in Panama are like taking a step back in time. And this is another one of those things, when you think about it. And on top of that, McDonald's here also has fried chicken, which is very, very delicious. So, it's not even a place that I tend to frequent, but I will go on Tuesday when they have that chicken special and get us some apple pies. So, with that pretty much wraps up the video. We want to thank you all for watching. Please do like, subscribe, share the video. Also, if you're interested in our Panama relocation online course, you can scan the QR code that is on your screen. Also, another reminder that we do have Zoom consultations available to you if you want to talk to us one-on-one as far as your personal situation, get your questions answered. You can send us an email at chosenfewexpats@gmail.com. And with that, we will catch you all on the next one.